Georgia lost because Kirby Smart's game plan is just not going to beat Bama. And I want to be proven wrong. But at the same time, I want Georgia's to upgrade at quarterback. I really do. If Georgia upgraded at quarterback, things would be different. I know the game would go different if Georgia was playing JT Daniels, but man, like I said, I give UGA credit for their schedule, but only 12 games. But they played 13 games. I know you're not counting the FCS game for whatever reason. That's fine. Notre Dame has the ability to do that. They just don't because they know that they don't play a conference title game. See, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, man. I see a comment that it might actually happen. But Notre Dame does not play in a conference. So for Notre Dame to make it to the playoffs, and they're probably going to get left out this year, they have to schedule a lot of tough games. And it comes down to the athletic director in doing so. They scheduled 2 potential top 10 games this year, USC and Cincinnati. USC turned out to be terrible. In Cincinnati, they lost. North Carolina is another team that had potential to be top 10. I don't think was preseason top 10, though. No, maybe North Carolina was preseason. No, they were preseason top 10. Okay. North Carolina turned out to be terrible. USC was turned out to be terrible. Who else? Who else was on their schedule? Notre Dame's best win is Wisconsin, who's 8-4. Their second best win is Purdue, who's 8-4. Their schedule is not up to par if they want to be making a college football playoff. And here you go. Georgia did not beat a top 10 team. Georgia played Clemson. They played in SEC East. They played Kentucky. They played Arkansas. They played Auburn. All 4 of those teams were ranked in the top 10 at some point in time this year, except for Auburn. I think Auburn at best was 16th, but still, Georgia schedule is way better than Notre Dame's. It just is. Georgia is top 10 in strength of schedule. They're top 3 in strength of record. I don't know what else there is to say. They also just played a top 10 team. Okay. They won their division. Notre Dame did not play in a division. They don't play in a conference. Why would you think Notre Dame deserves to be in a playoff if they don't play in a conference? They do not play a 13th game, and they didn't even beat the best team that they played, who happened to be a group of 5 team. Okay, so I don't really understand that. That doesn't make too much sense to me. Georgia got beat down. Yep, it was complete domination. This is what it is. Alabama's offensive line dominated the game from the second quarter on. Alabama's defensive line played really, really well too. But Bryce Young is a way better quarterback than Stetson Bennett. That's just is what it is. The wide receivers played really, really well, though. Jamison Williams, his route running ability is another thing I didn't really talk about, but his route running ability is phenomenal. He's going to be at least a second-round pick. You see all those wide receivers at Ohio State, Olave and Garrett Wilson. They're probably going to be first-round wide receivers. Jamison Williams should be a first-round talent, in my opinion. He's insane. They didn't get pressure on Bryce Young like Auburn did. Yeah, and I don't know what the play calling was in the second quarter specifically. You rush 4. Hopefully you can't. But you rush 4, and you give Bryce Young all day. I think they were expecting, because of the film was showing weakness on the left side of Alabama's offensive line, I think they were expecting their guys like Nolan Smith, Trayvon Walker, Jordan Davis, Devontae Wyatt, Jalen Carter. They expected all those guys to win their battles, and you can't really go off of that. You have to bring help from the linebackers and corners and really DBs. Look what Texas A&M did. Texas A&M sacked Bryce Young 5 times. In that game, Antonio Johnson, who's the nickel or slot corner, had a sack, and he had like 3 QB pressures. Leon O'Neal, safety for Texas A&M, had a sack in that game. McCreary for Auburn had a couple pressures, and I think he had a sack last week. You had to bring pressure from the outside, and Georgia just didn't do that, especially in the first half. But again, give Bryce Young a lot of credit, because even some plays where he was pressured, he was making plays. Go back to the second quarter. I think, was it Trayvon Walker had him pretty much wrapped up for a 10-yard sack or a 5-yard loss or whichever. He spins out of that, and as he's running downfield, he laterals the ball to Brian Robertson and makes a 12-yard gain out of a 10-yard loss, which is insane. That's a plus 22-yard difference. And from then on, I was like, man, this is going to be a really, really rough game if Georgia cannot contain number 9. And they just couldn't. And Bryce Young is a Heisman Trophy winner for a reason. Oh, Quorum's going to score a touchdown Michigan. So Michigan's going to go up 7-0. I hear that every year. Well, you can only play the teams on your schedule. Never the case for Notre Dame. Well, guess what? Most of those teams that we're talking about, our Cincinnati's, actually do play in a conference. This is different for a team that doesn't play in a conference. You're not playing a 13th game. You're not going to get the title of conference champion. That actually means something in college football today, does it not? More than likely, what's going to happen? You're going to have an SEC conference champion. An SEC conference champion has never missed out in the playoffs. You're going to have a Big Ten conference champion. Only twice has a Big Ten conference champion not made it to the playoffs. Then you're going to have, for the first time ever, a Group of 5 conference champion who happened to beat Notre Dame on the road by 11 points in the college football playoff. And then you're going to have a team that went 12-0, who looked like the best team in the country, beating teams by an average of 33.8 points per game in the playoffs over Notre Dame, who went 11-1. Like I said, Notre Dame is a good team. They are a great team. They don't play a 13th game. They played one top 10 team and lost. You said Georgia did. Okay. But you look at Georgia's strength of record. Look at Georgia's strength of schedule. Compare that to Notre Dame. Georgia has 3 top 25 wins. Notre Dame has 0. You said earlier they overrate SEC teams. People say that every year. Look what happens in bowl games. Look what happened last year in the bowl game. Indiana, who is the second best Big Ten team, lost to Ole Miss in the Outback Bowl by 10 points? Ole Miss was the 8th best SEC team. And there's more cases of that than they are not. I'm just being real with you. So, and who cares about conferences? Are you a Notre Dame fan? There's no way anybody would ever say that unless they're a Notre Dame fan. Georgia should never be number 1. Georgia was the best team for the first 13, 14 weeks of the year. Today, they were not. Alabama's the best team in the country right now. You better believe it. Bama, yeah, I heard that. Bama set the record for most number 1 wins. And look at Nick Saban. Nick Saban is the best coach of all time. He was – and this is how good Nick Saban is. He's only been an underdog 2 times in the past 7 years. And both of them were to Georgia. And both those times he absolutely killed Georgia. Roll Tide. Georgia will be in the playoff. The question is, what spot? I don't see them dropping lower than 3. And if we see y'all again, Kirby will definitely – I don't think he's going to play JT Daniels. I just don't. If we play you again, you're going to get Stetson Bennett again. And you're going to again. I can't really fathom this anymore with Georgia's quarterback play. But it is what it is.